February 8, 1888, Rizal arrived in Hong Kong. Rizal stayed at Victoria Hotel. He was welcomed by some Filipino residents, including Jose Maria Basa, Balbino Mauricio, and Manuel Iriarte, son of Francisco, Alcalde Mayor of Laguna, Spaniard, Jose Sainz de Baranda, former Secretary of Governor General Terrero, shadowed Rizal's every move. Baranda was believed to be a spy for the Spanish authorities. According to Rizal, Hong Kong was small but clean. There were many Portuguese, Hindus, English, Chinese, and Jews. Some Filipinos were exiled to Marianas Island. They were poor, gentle, and timid, formerly rich mechanics, industrialists, and financiers. During 2 weeks, visit to Hong Kong, Rizal studied Chinese life, language, drama, and customs experience. Noisy celebration of New Year. Continuous explosion of firecrackers. The richer the Chinese, the more firecrackers exploded. Rizal filled many firecrackers at the window of his hotel. Boisterous Chinese theater with noisy audience and noisier music. Chinese dramatic art. Rizal observed the following. A man astride means a stick, means a man riding on horseback. An actor raising his leg means he is entering a house. A red dress indicates a wedding. A girl about to marry coyly covers her face with fun and even the presence of her. A man raising a whip signifies he is about to ride a horse. The marathon laureate party, wherein the guests were served numerous dishes such as dried fruits, geese, shrimps, century egg, shark, fins, bird nests, white ducks, chicken with vinegar, fish heads, roasted pigs, and etc. The longest meal in the world, the Dominican order, was the richest order in Hong Kong. It engaged actively in business, owned more than 700 houses for rent and many shares in foreign banks. It had millions of dollars deposited in the bank, which earned fabulous interest. 5 of the Hong Kong cemeteries belonging to Protestants, Catholic, and Muslims. Protestant cemetery most beautiful because of its well-grown plants and clean pathways.
In Japan, departure from Hong Kong, February 22, 1888, Rizal left Hong Kong on board the Oceanic and American steamer. His next destination was Japan. While on board, Rizal did not like any meals. He liked the cleanliness and the efficiency of the ship. Cabin mate was a British Protestant missionary who had lived in China for 27 years and knew the Chinese. Rizal called him a good man. Other passengers on board, 2 Portuguese, 2 Chinese, several British, and an American woman Protestant missionary. Romantic interlude in Japan. Rizal goes to the United States. The ship that Rizal rode together with the Chinese and Japanese passengers was ordered to be quarantined upon their arrival in San Francisco. The passengers were not allowed to land and were under observation because of the cholera epidemic from the Far East. This surprised Rizal because he knew that such a thing does not exist. Later on, he realized that the situation was political. The Chinese were displacing white laborers, thus resulting in the Western dismay against Asians. This situation reflected the issue of racial prejudice and discrimination against Asian and Negros in America. Rizal's tour across the American continent resulted in many observations. The following are the most popular among Rizal's so-called Filipina girlfriends or love interests. Segunda Katigbak. Segunda Katigbak was Jose Rizal's puppy love. With her, the hero was believed to have had love at first sight. Rizal was 16 years old when one Sunday in 1887 he paid a visit to his maternal grandmother in Trozo, Manila. There he met among others, Segunda Katigbak, a 2-year younger than him, Colegiala. Leonor Valenzuela, nickname Orang. Leonor Valenzuela was commonly described as a tall girl with regal bearing who was Rizal's province mate. She was the daughter of Capitan Juan and Capitana Sunday Valenzuela, who were from Pagsanhan, Laguna. Orang was Rizal's neighbor when he boarded in the house of Doña Concha Leiva in Intramuros during his sophomore year at the University of Santo Tomas as a medicine student. Leonor Rivera, April 11, 1867, August 28, 1893 of Camiling Tarlac, was the daughter of Antonio Rivera and Silvestra Bauzon. Leonor's father was a cousin of the hero's father, Francisco Mercado. Described as a pretty lady, Leonor Rivera had a wavy soft hair, high forehead, wistful almond eyes, small and pensive mouth, and charming dimples. She was said to be intelligent and talented, as she could play the harp and the piano, skills which matched her fascinating singing voice. More about her, Leonor Rivera is Jose Rizal's true love. Consuelo Ortiga Wayrey. Consuelo Ortiga Wayrey is among the so-called Rizal's girlfriends or lovers in the foreign lands. She was probably very likable because at least 2 Filipinos in Spain in Jose Rizal's time had feelings for her. Consuelo Ortiga Wayrey was considered the prettier of the daughters of Don Pablo Ortiga Wayrey, the Spanish liberal and former mayor of Manila, who became vice president of the Council of the Philippines in the Ministry of Colonies. More about her, Consuelo Ortiga Wayrey, the crush ng bayan in Rizal's time. Seiko Soy. It was during Jose Rizal's second trip abroad when he met Seiko Soy. From Hong Kong, he arrived in Japan in February 1888. One day, Rizal saw Seiko passing by legation in one of her daily afternoon walks. Fascinated by her charm, Rizal inquired and learned from a Japanese gardener some basic information about her. More about Seiko. Seiko Soy, Jose Rizal's Japanese girlfriend.
Gertrude Beckett, a blue-eyed and buxom girl, was eldest daughter of Charles Beckett, who owned Primrose Hill House. While Rizal, in London, annotating the sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, he boarded in the house of the Beckett family, with walking distance of the British Museum. Gertrude. She fell in love with Rizal, helped him in this painting and sculpture. Nelly boosted. Rizal was depressed when he knew about the news about Leonor, and Nelly boosted gets the attention of Rizal. Antonio Luna court Nelly, but in the end of the day, Lady refused the love of Antonio for her drunken Antonio altered unsavory remarks against Nelly. This prompted to Rizal challenge Luna into a duel. Luna apologized to Rizal, thus averting tragedy for the compatriot. Jose Jacobi. In 1890, Rizal moved to Brussels because of the high cost of living in Paris. In Brussels, he lived in the boarding house of the 2 Jacobi sisters. In time, they fell deeply in love with each other. José cried when Rizal left Brussels and wrote him when he was in Madrid. Josephine Bracken. In the last days of February 1895, while still in Dapitan, Rizal met an 18-year-old petite Irish girl. With bold blue eyes, brown hair, and a happy disposition, she was Josephine Bracken, the adopted daughter of George Stopper from Hong Kong, who came to Dapitan to seek Rizal for eye treatment.
Here are the travel brochure. Trip to Hong Kong on February 3, 1888, Rizal left Calamba after just 6 months on board the Zafiro. Was sick and sad during the crossing of the choppy China Sea. He did not get off his ship when it made a brief stopover at Amoy on February 7 for 3 reasons. He was not feeling well. It was raining hard. He heard that the city was dirty. Here are the results in Hong Kong. In Japan, departure from Hong Kong, February 22, 1888. Rizal left Hong Kong on board the Oceanic, an American steamer. His next destination was Japan. While on board, Rizal did not like any meals. He liked the cleanliness and the efficiency of the ship. Cabin mate was a British Protestant missionary who had lived in China for 27 years, knew the Chinese. Rizal called him a good man. This is Rizal in Japan. Rizal goes to the United States. The ship that Rizal rode together with the Chinese and Japanese passenger was ordered to be quarantined upon their arrival in San Francisco. The passengers were not allowed to land and were under observation because of the cholera epidemic from the Far East. This surprised Rizal because he knew that such a thing does not exist. Here is Rizal in United States. The girlfriend of Jose Rizal. First, Segunda Katigbak, was 14 years old when he fell in love for Rizal. Was born in Lipa, Batangas. A short girl was her puppy love. Unfortunately, his first love was engaged to be married to a town mate, Manuel Luz. Here is Leonor Valenzuela. Leonor Valenzuela, Orang, was her nickname. They were neighbors when Rizal boarded in Doña Concha Leyva's Intramuros house during his second year at UST. Rizal was only 17 when he loved Valenzuela, a tall girl from Pagsanhan. Rizal sent her love notes written in invisible ink that could only be deciphered over the warmth of the champ or candle. He visited her on the eve of his departure to Spain and bade her a last goodbye. Here is Leonor Rivera. Leonor Rivera, Rizal's next romance with Leonor Rivera, a cousin from Camiling Tarlac. She was Jose Rizal's true love for 11 years and reflected as Maria Clara in Noli Me Tangere. Here is Consuelo Ortiga. Consuelo Ortiga is among so-called Rizal's girlfriend or lovers in the foreign lands. She was probably very likable because at least 2 Filipinos in Spain in Jose Rizal's time had feelings for her. This is Osei-san. Osei-san, a Japanese samurai daughter, taught Rizal in Japanese art of painting known as sume. She also helped Rizal improve his knowledge of Japanese language. This is Gertrude Beckett. Gertrude Beckett, a blue-eyed and buxom girl, was eldest daughter of Charles Beckett, who owned Primrose Hill House. While Rizal was in London, annotating the successos de las Islas Filipinas, he boarded in the house of Beckett family within walking distance of British Museum. Gertrude. She fell in love with Rizal, helped him in his painting and sculpture, but Rizal suddenly left London for Paris to avoid Gertrude, who was seriously in love with him. Before leaving London, he was able to finish the group carving of the Beckett sister. He gave the group carving to Gertrude as a sign of their brief relationship. He affectionately called her Getty, and in return she called him Petty. This is Nelly Bostid. Nelly Bostid, when he arrived in Biarritz, the Bostid family welcomed Rizal. Rizal was depressed when he knew about the news about Leonor and Nelly Bosted gets the attention of Rizal. Antonio Luna court Nelly, but in the end of the day, Lady refused the love of Antonio for her. Drunken Antonio uttered unsavory remarks against Nelly. This prompted Rizal to challenge Luna into a duel. Luna apologized to Rizal'S, thus averting tragedy of the compatriots. This is Suzanne Jacobi. Suzanne Jacobi, in 1890, Rizal moved to Brussels because of the high cost of living in Paris. In Brussels, he lived in the boarding house of the two Jacobi sisters. In time, they fell deeply in love with each other. Suzanne cried when Rizal left Brussels and wrote him when he was in Madrid. This is Josephine Bracken. Josephine Bracken, in the last day of February 1895, while still in Dapitan, Rizal, met an 18-year-old petite Irish girl with bold blue eyes, brown hair, and a happy disposition. She was Josephine Bracken, the adopted daughter of George Topher from Hong Kong, who came to Dapitan to seek Rizal for eye treatment. Rizal was physically attracted to her. His loneliness and boredom must have taken the measure of him, and what could be a better diversion than to fall in love again. But Rizal's sisters suspected Josephine as an agent of the friars, and they considered her as a threat to Rizal's security.